What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Was this warmth merely a lingering trace, or something more? Zijin's calm voice seemed to echo their unspoken thoughts. The connection may have been interrupted, but Rimaru's blessing remained intact. Some had already sensed this but dismissed it as mere wishful thinking. They believed it was better to expect nothing than to be misled by false hope. But I had it wrong. Only by persevering until the very end do we find a path forward. Worrying can come later. For now, we must focus on what we're capable of doing. That was the promise we all made to ourselves. Hope becomes the fuel that keeps us moving forward.
Understand this, Rimuru-sama is testing us. We are not so fragile that we need to depend on Rimuru-sama for everything. If we are incapable of acting without him, then...
Zijin's voice was resolute, his words laced with the belief that those too weak to leave the safety of their parents should be culled by the natural order. These were words that resonated deeply with everyone present.
Exactly.
Benimaru agreed with a firm nod. Reflecting on his own past, he realized how much he had leaned on Rimuru from the very beginning. His thoughts drifted to his earlier failure, the time when he lost control after the connection to Rimuru was severed during the Pharmace incident. Back then, his actions had caused widespread harm to his comrades. In that moment, Benimaru had sworn an oath. He had vowed to become someone capable of leading others without relying entirely on Rimuru. And he had promised himself never to let such a catastrophe happen again. Zijin's words now reignited that pledge within Benimaru. It was a harsh reminder for him, as someone Rimuru had entrusted to oversee the remaining tasks. With Rimuru no longer by their side, the full weight of responsibility had fallen onto Benimaru's shoulders. It was now his moment to rise. No matter how uncertain he felt, he could not let it show. That was the burden of leadership, his duty as a leader. With a faint, self-aware smile, Benimaru said,
"Well, we need to prove to Rimuru-sama that we're capable so he won't have to worry when he comes back."
Benimaru's usual tone carried a sense of determination, prompting Datta to eagerly nod and reply with a cheerful grin.
Exactly. Just because Rimuru-sama is gone doesn't mean he's gone for good. He's a tough guy. Even if something happens, he'll find his way back to us.
Rigger let out a laugh at the comment.
Datta, you're still running your mouth like a fool,
he said, punctuating his remark with a light punch to Datta's head.
It's true. We've always leaned on Rimuru-sama. As Benimaru-sama mentioned, we should honor Rimuru-sama by doing our part.
Geld added in a serious tone. The other leaders nodded in agreement.
Exactly. You all can't just keep relying on us forever.
Datta joked, drawing a mix of groans and chuckles from the group. By now, no one was looking downcast or wallowing in despair. The time for lamentation had passed.
I'll admit, I let worry get the better of me just because Rimuru-sama wasn't around. He would have laughed at me for acting this way.
Gabble said, expressing his regret.
Soidono's words make me question whether Rimuru-sama is truly gone. But the idea of him being defeated? That's unthinkable. It must be part of some grand plan.
Geld added, his voice heavy with conviction. This statement prompted everyone to consider the possibility with renewed optimism.
That's right. Honestly, I had full faith in Rimuru from the start. Not a single worry crossed my mind.
Ramirez chimed in, her energy restored as she spoke with confidence. The labyrinth's defenders nodded in agreement.
Exactly. Rimuru-sama is invincible.
Kumara exclaimed. The mood in the room brightened as their hopes for the future were shared and strengthened. Witnessing this, Benimaru reflected.
I wasn't the only one who depended on Rimuru-sama. I never intended to spoil them, but his presence alone brought us all a sense of comfort and reassurance. It's one thing to rely on someone, but it's another to shift all the responsibility onto them.
Benimaru said, his tone both casual and serious. His words struck a chord, causing the group's expressions to grow more resolute.
Looking back, I think I've been guilty of leaving everything to him. But this is a chance for us to prove ourselves. Let's face this challenge with our own strength.
Benimaru declared firmly. Rigard nodded in agreement with Benimaru's rallying cry.
That's the spirit. Let's give it our all and greet Rimuru-sama with smiles when he returns.
Soi nodded silently, echoing the sentiment in his own way. He offered Zijin a light acknowledgement and expressed his regret.
I'm sorry, Zijin, for not handling myself more gracefully.
Soi, as composed as ever, silently radiated determination. This moment marked the beginning of a chain reaction as everyone stepped forward to make their own declarations of resolve. Finally, Diablo broke into laughter.
Well, it seems I didn't need to push you all, did I?
Zijin responded to Diablo's nonchalant attitude.
You're insufferable.
Oh, is that so? If you can't snap out of it here, you're of no use to Rimuru-sama, are you?
Diablo shot back.
That doesn't mean you should recklessly squander your strength against the enemy.
Testarossa interjected firmly. Diablo chuckled as the conversation moved on. Meanwhile, the large screen displayed the enemy's forces advancing through the labyrinth. As Zijin had pointed out earlier, this was no time for bickering. Yet, this exchange felt like a necessary ritual. If they couldn't shift their mindsets here, defeat was all but guaranteed. Diablo had anticipated all of this. However, any lingering doubts had now dissipated.
You're absolutely right, Zijin. We must show Rimuru-sama that we can stand strong on our own so he won't be let down. There's no room for hesitation now. We need to crush these invaders quickly and rescue Carrera and the others trapped in the ice. With everyone focused, this is more than achievable.
Diablo declared.
Exactly. Let's resolve this matter swiftly and bring Rimuru-sama back to us.
Testarossa added with a confident smile. She continued, laying out her plan for the coming steps.
If Veldora-sama has gone to Ultima, then there's nothing to worry about. I'll take charge of assisting Carrera.
Diablo gave a nod of agreement.
I know you might wonder why I'm stepping in, but we also need to free Milim-sama's subordinates. I'm counting on you.
With that, Testarossa moved into action. Having approved the plan, she acted without hesitation. After glancing at Testarossa, Benimaru turned back toward Diablo.
And you, Diablo, what are your next steps?
Diablo glanced at the large screen, his smile turning wry as he spoke his true thoughts.
Originally, I planned to eliminate Feldway and offer this world to Rimuru-sama, but I've reconsidered. If we don't bolster the defense of this land, we might end up disobeying Rimuru-sama's orders.
Although his tone was casual, the gravity of his statement was impossible to ignore. Zijin's reaction was immediate, and his attention sharpened. Benimaru, speaking for everyone, asked.
What do you mean? Do you think they're a serious threat?
He, too, turned his gaze to the screen, which displayed the enemy's information. Their approximate power levels were calculated and shown alongside their names: Vega, Dino, Pico, Garasha, and Mai Furuki, members of the 7 Angels of Death. Each of them had a power level surpassing 1 million, and some even exceeded 10 million. They were undeniably dangerous, but Benimaru doubted they were enough to give Diablo pause.
Sure, I'm not at my full strength right now, but with Zijin here, you're free to act without worrying.
Diablo said, maintaining his stance.
It's just a precaution. Of course, it's not that I doubt Zijin's abilities.
Diablo added.
No need to concern yourself. I'm simply doing what's expected of me.
Zijin replied firmly. His words carried his unwavering resolve to protect everything within the labyrinth.
If that's settled, I'll be heading out.
Zijin declared with his usual composure. Without hesitation, he turned and began walking away, followed closely by Apito, who gave a polite bow before leaving. With Zijin, the labyrinth's strongest guardian, standing watch, there was little reason for concern. Ramirez, reassured by this, allowed her expression to soften.
Well, as long as Zijin-chan's here, we're in good hands.
Even Beretta and Trainee, who had remained silent throughout, couldn't help but nod in agreement. Though humbling, it was clear that Zijin's capabilities were beyond question.
I'll focus on my recovery.
Geld said as he closed his eyes, reining in his impatience. He knew that resting now was essential to fulfilling his responsibilities later.
Me too. I'd better recover fully before my turn comes.
Gabble added enthusiastically. Though his injuries weren't as severe as Geld's, he still needed time to heal. He was even more drained of mana than Geld and completely spent. Though his injuries had healed, his body had yet to recover to the same extent as the others. Like Geld, he knew it was wise to focus on rest for now. Gabble's thoughts, however, lingered on other matters. He was deeply troubled by the state of old Eurasania, which he had heard was frozen over. While his concern extended to his friends Carrera and the others, another worry tugged at him, the safety of Sufia, who had unexpectedly become his partner. If his fears were confirmed, he might have ignored his own condition and rushed off without hesitation. But Gabble recognized the weight of his responsibilities. He had to focus on what was within his control at the moment and what needed to be done. Suppressing his swirling emotions, Gabble resolved to prioritize his recovery. Thus, the leaders of Tempest began to take action. Their faces, once marked by worry, now radiated determination. The anxiety that had once held them back had been dispelled, replaced by an unshakable resolve. They were no longer helpless dependents, as Zijin had once described them. Each one understood their role and committed to performing it to the best of their ability. They were determined not to tarnish the legacy of Demon Lord Rimuru. Instead, they aimed to earn his acknowledgement and pride upon his return. It was time for them to step out from beneath the protective shadow of their name granter, Rimuru, and stand on their own.
Volume 21, Chapter 1, Dying Region.
So, you've arrived.
Rumina's thought to herself. Veldora stood with a calm and composed demeanor in front of DeGruel. Unlike Rumina's, who was rendered powerless when time came to a halt, Veldora seemed completely at ease, moving effortlessly through the suspended world as though it were second nature to him. Watching Veldora, Rumina's felt an odd sense of irony. The crushing despair she'd felt earlier now seemed insignificant. The fear and tension that had gripped her, expecting the inevitability of death, were suddenly replaced by an unfamiliar sense of relief. It was a feeling she didn't want to acknowledge.
How absurd. Why should I feel comforted just because Veldora is here?
She shoved those thoughts aside and redirected her attention to the current crisis. Veldora's boisterous laughter filled the air. Even in the direst of moments, he remained his carefree self, and strangely, that brought Rumina's a measure of reassurance. Though time had frozen, and only DeGruel, who controlled the suspended world, could hear him, Veldora's exuberance didn't falter.
Why are you acting like a fool?
A scornful tone cut through, belonging to an adversary from the past.
Oh, that's right. She's here too, isn't she?
Rumina's thoughts drifted to Ultima's presence. Within the suspended world, Veldora's ability to transcend time and space seemed intricately tied to Ultima. That connection made sense.
A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Nissa L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rosen, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Jay, Donald Williams, Day of Light, John M., Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, Kirisoto-sama, JV, Thomas, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Divine C. Harris, Montyboy 98, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Isaac, Koala King 93, Quilly Buckner, Alver, Normal Defate, Joshua Andrade, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Nate, Leiron Sangkap, Lucas Guet, Jason Martin, Sky T, Andre Hamilton, Martin Ramos, Emperor WSA, Miko Espinosa, George Hage, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Kamal Luke, Akshay Devate, Elvin Quarty, Ian Sikibiol, Thanakorn Lee Sawat, KACP9R, The Harv, Drayden Yamauchi, Joshua Wolf. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.